From KAMR Local 4 News, your local election headquarters, this is Politics Today.
The investigation into what led a person to reportedly shoot and kill a prominent activist continues. The latest on this investigation ahead. And we're hearing from City of Amarillo officials about our wastewater treatment plants, the work to update and upgrade those.
Charlie Kirk was first and foremost a husband and a dad to 2 young children.
Whether you agree with his views or not, Charlie Kirk is known as a top podcaster, a conservative activist, and so much more. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mari Farrell. Kirk was shot and killed on Wednesday afternoon. Kirk was shot in the neck while speaking at a debate at Utah Valley University. Despite the FBI director posting that person responsible was in custody, 2 people have been detained and later let go. The man accused of this crime was taken into custody Friday morning. Authorities say 6 police officers were at the event with about 3,000 people in attendance. Several people say there were no metal detectors or security to pass through to attend. Kirk leaves behind a wife, 2 children, and other family members. Locally, community and state leaders are remembering Charlie Kirk following his death. Politics Today's Blas Guerrero has more details on how local leaders are reflecting on the impact he had on American politics.
Charlie Kirk was known for his conservative views and his ability to connect with young voters. Community leaders who met him remember Kirk not just as a political figure, but a kind and thoughtful man.
He lived out his faith in a beautiful way. He loved what America was founded on. He was a brilliant young man. It's just incredible what he has done for the next generation, but the way that he was able to articulate his point of view and his values.
Gibbs met Kirk last year when Hope Choice hosted an event at WT where he spoke to college students. Texas State Representative John Smithy, who admired Kirk's ability to engage young voters, also expressed his shock at the news.
Anytime you have a political assassination, it's a national tragedy. But this one seemed to touch a lot of people in a very unusual way because Charlie Kirk had that rare ability to speak his position unadulterated and firmly.
Both leaders stressed the importance of maintaining respectful political views in today's divided climate, something they say Kirk showed in his work.
The 2 sides are so fractionalized right now. And I think, you can blame a lot of things, but, one is social media, but it's a sad situation in our country when, innocent figures are being brutally assaulted or in this case, assassinated.
Gibbs encourages the next generation to remember his legacy.
It's important to stand up for the values that you hold dear and to respect all people.
Blas, thank you. Both Gibbs and Representative Smithy are urging people to engage in political disagreements with respect and understanding. While Representative Smithy never met Kirk, he says that Kirk inspired his granddaughter to engage in politics. He believes Kirk's influence among young voters helped Donald Trump win the last presidential election. Among those speaking out about Kirk's death is Congressman Ronnie Jackson. Jackson posted a statement saying, quote, "Charlie Kirk believed in open debate and honest conversation. He loved his family and his country. We mourn his tragic passing and honor his memory. May he rest in peace," end quote. President Trump was the first to announce Kirk's death. He wrote on Truth Social saying, in part, quote, "No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me. And now he is no longer with us," end quote. Later Wednesday night, for those driving on I-27, some in the community were reacting to Kirk's death. This is a digital billboard near Washington and I-27, which reads, "Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk." The political mudslinging and blame game are also ramping up, especially on the national level, but our D.C. bureau caught up with Senator John Cornyn to get his thoughts on this incident and the increase in political violence.
Well, it's horrific, and there's no excuse for it. But I don't think many of us have personally witnessed a murder before, which is what we saw yesterday, or if you prefer, a political assassination. We don't know all the facts yet. We don't know what the motivation was by the shooter, but obviously this is intolerable in a civilized society. And I think, again, as we find out more about the motivation of the shooter, we'll, I think, be able to understand more about what the reasons were, but there is no good reason to use this sort of violence against anybody.
How would you describe the mood on Capitol Hill? You know, there's been an uptick in threats against members, their families, and staff.
Well, there have been a lot more threats, according to the Capitol Police, against members, and it makes members of Congress apprehensive, perhaps even worse. It makes our families very apprehensive, and you know, as people sort of weigh the pluses and minuses of serving in public office, I don't think it helps recruit more and more good people to run. But it's part of the price we pay to live in an open society. What we need to do is try to find out what the cause is, and if it's mental health problems or if it's just simply a criminal who is engaging in violence, maybe that gives us some hint about what we need to do. But right now we just don't know. Well, law-abiding citizens are not a threat to public safety. I own a number of firearms. I enjoy hunting, and obviously they're important for people's ability to defend themselves and their family. But law-abiding citizens aren't a threat. Criminals and people with mental illness are a real problem, and we've tried to address some of that. But again, in this instance, we don't know what the motivation was yet.
To the full interviews with Candy Gibbs and Representative John Smithy, those are on our website, myhighplains.com. It's a big project in the North Heights area to begin improving the water lines. We've got an update on the work that started this week. Plus, we'll hear from the city about the improvements planned at our wastewater treatment plants. The city of Amarillo is working to improve water pressure and service in North Heights through replacing 2-inch water lines with 6-inch water lines in parts of the area. Politics Today's Rochelle Hamilton Jr. has been following this story for a while now. He has more from residents who say the improvements are long overdue.
The city of Amarillo improving water main lines in the North Heights neighborhood.
We're grateful.
Area residents like Keith Grays expressing gratitude.
This was a very significant part of water pressure in Amarillo, and it will help with our drainage. The more we can push something through drainage, the more power we got of not getting the drains clogged.
After years of asking for improvements.
This is the first major reconstruction project in North Heights history as far as our water infrastructure. This won't be the last.
Longtime resident James Allen tells me the improvements will be about 18 blocks and says disruptions will be part of the growing pains of the upgrades.
This is going to make our area of town look more appealing to a potential business because our infrastructure is going to be up to date. It's going to be state of the art.
The city of Amarillo says it'll all balance out old infrastructure in the neighborhood and improve fire safety.
These 6-inch water lines are tying into 16 and 20-inch water lines. It's more for the resident than it is for the main service out there. The main service is adequate, but we just want to make sure that the residences have a balanced pressure system throughout their entire community.
Danforth says the city will notify residents of any interruptions.
Once we switch it over and tap into their new system, the existing system will stay fully functional until they're ready to tap, and then they'll tap one house at a time as they're moving through there. Instead of shutting down a whole area, they'll try to minimize the impact to the community.
Both Allen and Gray say they also want to see the city and residents work together on compliance.
If you see things that need to be done in the community, take the bull by its horn and you do something about it. You contact the people that need to handle it, or if it's something you can handle it yourself.
That's just a matter of developing and encouraging people to love where they live.
In Amarillo, Rochelle Hamilton Jr., KAMR, Local 4 News.
Rochelle, thank you. This project is expected to be completed this winter or early next year. More than $1 million was invested in making these improvements. The city says if your street is impacted, they will notify people. The city of Amarillo built the River Road wastewater treatment plant in 1927, a facility still in use today. And in 1965, the city added the Hollywood Road wastewater treatment plant to the community, a facility also still in use today. Politics Today's Kaylee Hanna has details on how City Council is preparing for the future of these wastewater plants.
Both the River Road wastewater treatment plant and the Hollywood Road wastewater treatment plant are a combined 160 years old and haven't had any major upgrades in more than 20 years. The city is taking a new approach to upgrading both plants with the goal of having the facilities capable of wastewater treatment for 10 to 15 years and the ability to expand beyond that time frame.
They're very old and aged infrastructure inside of those plants. So in looking at that, we decided that maybe the best approach was to go back and utilize which portions of those plants that we could continue to use for the next 10 to 15 years through renovation, through expansion, maybe adding some new components, but not one big singular plant.
Hooper says they are currently on the preliminary stages of concept, but this project will be a long process.
Some of the refurbishing may not even occur until we finish with this first 5 to 6 year phase of that. Then we'll start refurbishing other pieces of the plant that need it. But in the meantime, again, we're doing the maintenance, we're doing the things that it takes to keep the plants alive and moving forward throughout this entire process.
According to Hooper, this new approach will lessen the cost of the project while meeting goals for regulatory compliance and accounting for future growth.
And part of the process we're under right now is making sure that that is feasible by doing the assessments of both the Hollywood plant, the River Road plant, and every piece of equipment that belongs in those plants. Full assessment to make sure what we can do, when we can do it, how much it's going to cost us so we can start putting all this together.
In Amarillo, Kaylee Hanna, KMR Local 4 News.
Kaylee, thank you. Hooper says the city of Amarillo is monitored and regulated by the state when it comes to wastewater treatment plant operations. He says the city is deliberately taking its time through this process to ensure they meet all state requirements. Earlier this week, the City Council voted to approve a contract to purchase property for lake drainage improvements. The council voted 4-0 in favor of the purchase, as well as the design of low-maintenance, standalone pump stations and building at the Lawrence Lake. Those designs will allow increased pumping of the lake and send stormwater to the West Amarillo Creek. The purchase of the land added to the cost of the project and is expected to be around $5 million. The Canadian River Municipal Water Authority delivered an update to the Amarillo City Council this week. Despite past drought challenges, the authority reports strong water security, with current projections showing 62 to 71% of water resources remaining over the next century. A potential new pipeline could further enhance water delivery and infrastructure reliability.
What this would do is add more groundwater to the system and allow us to completely fill up our original aqueduct that was built in the 60s with groundwater, essentially a drought-proof supply. What that would also do is give us more groundwater to blend with the surface water, with Lake Meredith water, so us, it just adds the ability to continue to utilize that resource.
Officials say they can deliver up to 80 million gallons of water daily, with Amarillo using around 50 million gallons. We're in the budget and tax rate season, and Potter County said they needed to raise the tax rate. What they approved this week. Amarillo ISD also voted on their tax rate and budget. We'll have those stories and more next. The Potter County Commissioners vote on the upcoming budget and tax rate. They adopted a tax rate of 4.7% earlier this week. They will have a final vote on the budget on September 22nd. Judge Nancy Tanner says that's about $3 extra a month for those in a $100,000 to $200,000 home. Something not seen often was positions being cut on the spot as they discussed the budget. The commissioners also approved an agreement to continue to house inmates in Childress and Garza counties. This as they work to make upgrades or rebuild the Potter County Detention Center. During the most recent meeting, an estimation of about $200 million was mentioned, but what the commissioners will do is still undecided.
What was brought on the Commissioner's Court is, one is the new contract for Childress, which is the same. It's still $60 per inmate, but Garza went up to $72, and so that's what we got approved today.
Sheriff Thomas says they have about 40 inmates housed elsewhere, along with Childress and Garza counties. Thomas says they have inmates in Randall, Lubbock, Duff Smith, and Scurry counties. The city of Amarillo has approved their budget for the next fiscal year. They held the first reading of the ordinances adopting the city's budget and tax rate for the next fiscal year. City council members approved the measures with a vote of 4-0. In total, the city voted to raise the ad valorem tax rate to 0.43070 per $100 property evaluation. That is the most the city could raise the tax rate without having to send it to the voters of the city. Officials say this tax rate will raise more taxes for maintenance and operations than last year's rate. It will effectively raise taxes for a $100,000 home by approximately $12.47.
With this 43.070 tax rate, what we could provide is our current service levels that we are already providing here at the city, along with the new police officer, new firefighter, continued funding for fire apparatus, the 4% raise for police, 3% for fire, and 2% merit for civilians. $30.7 million in street projects, and the TMRS COLA at 70%.
Councilmember David Prescott was not at the meeting. The Randall County Commissioners Court hosted their second and final reading for the 2025 to 2026 budget. The meeting was held at the Commissioners Courtroom. Officials had a public hearing on the topic earlier this week. The commissioners ratified the property tax revenue increase and adopted the county budget for the next fiscal year. The commissioners approved the budget with a unanimous vote. The Amarillo ISD Board of Trustees held their regular meeting this week as well. The 2025 district tax rate as well as amendments to the budget were on the agenda. The vote was to amend the budget approved in June due to gifts the district received. The board voted unanimously to adopt an 87-cent increase.
Average price house in AISD, which is around $230,000, that's going to be a decrease of about $20, a little less than $20 a month on their tax bill. The state sets our tax rate. The only way we can change the tax rate is by a voter approved or by a voter approved bond.
Amarillo College will soon do away with their Thrive Scholarship program, but they announced what program will replace it. We've got details on this story next. Amarillo ISD's Board of Trustees votes on continuing the district's dual credit partnership. This is with Amarillo College and other post-secondary education institutions. It was approved by the board. Amarillo ISD students are able to take college courses. AISD Board President Doyle Corder says giving students the chance to do dual credit gives them a head start on their college academic career.
We love providing these opportunities for all of our students. My children, my own children, graduated with a lot of credits in college, and that saves them. It gets them ahead once they get to the universities they're going to, and allows them to prosper.
Porter says AC is a great partner for dual credit, and there are no changes to that program this year. Recently, our team learned that the Thrive Scholarship program at Amarillo College would end in 2030. The last class to receive this help is the class of 2027, and AC has announced a new program that will launch this fall. One of the main differences between the Badger Bound program and Thrive is that the Badger Bound scholarship will require students to have completed at least 15 dual credit hours at AC during high school. Both cover tuition, fees, and books, but Thrive covered 60 credit hours while the Badger Bound program will cover 45 credit hours.
We have an obligation to serve all of our students, and with Thrive going away, it was really important to develop a program that could really increase access to the college.
The Thrive Scholarship provided an opportunity for all students to go to college. New Mexico will become the first state to guarantee no-cost childcare starting in November. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham made the announcement this past week. In a statement, the governor said the plan will make childcare available to everyone by removing income eligibility requirements from the state's Child Care Assistance Program and continuing the waiver of family co-payments. The U.S. House has passed the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2026. Congressman Ronnie Jackson says this bill benefits several military aspects, including the Pantex plant. Specifically, an amendment would accelerate infrastructure projects to modernize the work being done at Pantex. 4 House Republicans voted against this bill. 17 Democrats joined in voting for it. The Senate will pass their own bill. The two will merge into one, and once passed, will go to the president's desk. We'll wrap up politics today after this.